Hello, girls, guys, or otherwise. This is Rich with your Table Talk Thursday. As per usual, I have our Table Topics cube here. If you would like to get your own, there is a link provided down below. Before I go any further, let me go ahead and thank our patrons on Patreon. Thank you, Linda and Sophia, for being patrons on Patreon. If you would like to become a patron on Patreon, you can hit up the link down below. The money from that goes towards helping us start up this Christo-Pagan church that here on YouTube that we are going to start. If you would like to get something tangible for your money and you want to support me as an individual YouTube creator, you can hit up the link down below for the eBay store. Ask about discounts and whatnot. Discounts are often given for the eBay store. So hit up that link down below. And let's see, what else? If you cannot give your support through monetary means, that's fine. You can support this channel in other ways. You can hit the subscribe button right over there. You can hit the bell notification. You can hit the thumbs up or thumbs down. Doesn't matter to me. It all appease the algorithmic gods of YouTube. All hail the algorithmic gods of YouTube. You can hit up the comment section if you've done all of that. Hit up the comment section. Let me know what your take on today's question is. I have no clue what the question is. I'm a little afraid. And if it is safe for you to do so, consider sharing this on your social media platforms if that is safe for you to do so. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's question. Did I say if you can get, I went through my whole spiel and everything. If you would like to get your own Table Topics cube, hit up the link down below. It is the manufacturer's link to it, or to their website. So let's see what today's topic is. If you were asked, would you tell a friend the truth about an unfortunate haircut? Absolutely. And I sound a little too excited about that. Now, one of my friends, she went to school for cosmetology and everything. She is very particular about her hair and the colors, the dye that she uses, stuff like that. She is very particular about the quality and whatnot that she uses. So probably would not have an issue with her hair because her hair is just on point. It's what she wants. It's how she likes it and whatnot. My partner, if he got a haircut and I didn't quite like it, I mean, I'm not a big person to comment on other people's looks because, I mean, he basically gets the same haircut every single time. If he went bald, like if he just shaved everything off and went bald, I might say something. I might be like, it's not exactly the best look for you. Yeah, I would definitely say something like that to him. If somebody, got really short, a really short haircut that usually wears their hair longer, yes, I would probably say, yes, this frames your face nicely, or it doesn't. It's, very appealing of a look or something like that. I think what this question really comes down to, whenever we're talking about an unfortunate haircut, is, are you willing to tell the hard truth to somebody who you consider a friend? And I think this goes beyond a haircut because, let me just be completely honest, I don't usually care about people's hair. I have bigger things to worry about and whatnot, and hair is at the very, very bottom of the list. It's right above somebody's sexual preference, or personal kinks. I kind of, and it's right below what their sexual preference is. It goes sexual preference, sexual preference, haircut, kinks. Yeah, not gonna shame them, but yeah, that's the order in which I would like to know or would like to ask more questions about. Very bottom of the list type of stuff. But uh, th- this question more goes for me towards the would you tell somebody, the truth about something? And I recently had a situation like this come up at work where my coworker is huge, like, conservative libertarian Trump supporter type. Um and she's one of those people that will say not to be racist, but yeah, she says it a lot. And I'm sitting there, like, every single time I'm like, do you realize when you say not to be racist, but you just negated everything that was before that because you're about to say something racist? Um, she has said before, those aren't the individuals in this area are not the best class of people. She's very standoffish whenever it comes to ethnicity and in different social statuses or stati. Yeah, the different social status of individuals within a certain area. If you don't make a certain amount of money, you're basically, just trash. Um, she's that type of individual, and she'll say it in such a sweet way. But I got into an argument with her the other day because we had a customer walk in, and I didn't mention anything to the customer, but the customer came in, and we were talking about a trucker that took out a keypad to our gate, to our gate system, and just, like, completely, ran into it, took it out, and then just kept on driving. Whole hit and run thing. She ended up getting like 3 tickets. And the customer, hearing this story, turned to her and said, "Was she black? Because, they're the worst drivers." And I could not even at that point. I'm like, this lady is paying, almost $2,000 for a storage unit, to get her stuff out of the auction status that it was in. I'm like, we have been calling this lady and trying to get her to pay. I don't want to really get into the fight. I have a headache right now. I'm just not wanting to deal with this right now. And so I got into shutdown mode. And I just looked at the computer. I did what I needed to do, and went out on the property and whatnot, and just had a breather and whatnot. It was my way of trying to do self-care with myself, and, do I want to have this fight right now? That type of thing. And for me on that day, it was not the time for me to have this argument. But the next day that, we were working together was the following Monday. And she said something about the person that picks up our recycling. We have a dumpster for the trash and a dumpster for recycling, like cardboard boxes, plastic and whatnot. And he's been coming and just looking in there, not dumping it or anything. He's like, "Oh, there's a box in there. I'm not doing it." And he would charge, the company would charge us because that's the contract, and he was not doing the job. And she's like, "Well, what I heard, this is my coworkers talking. What I heard from the guy that does the trash, he said, because this person is a minority, they're getting certain kickbacks and all that. So he's not even worried about getting fired." So I went on the Google machine. So I'm hitting in, like, what kind of tax breaks do you get for minorities, blah, blah, blah. And I could only find one. Now, there could be others, and I've seen this individual before, not plainly looking like a minority. So, could be, yes. Does he seem to be a white Caucasian, or a Caucasian male? To me, yes. Could he not be? Absolutely. But the way that she said that so matter-of-factly really got me. And she went out and she was working on the property and whatnot. And as I'm looking all this up, so she comes in. I told her, I said, I only found this one thing that gives credit to a company for hiring a minority. And she turned to me, she's like, well, are you a tax attorney now? I'm like, no, it's called Google the IRS and, looking into the IRS, statutes and whatnot, all the things that you can, have for tax relief or, have a tax credit and whatnot. And I'm like, not only that, he has to meet these certain criteria and all that. Not even, saying that he meets these criteria or not. You're just assuming that he does because you think he's a minority. Could he be? Absolutely. Could he not be? Absolutely. And not only that, does he meet these other requirements that they have to meet in order to get these tax credits? Could he? Absolutely. Could he not? Absolutely. Do you know? No. So I went on this whole tirade, of this, and she's like, "Well, you don't know. This is just what I'm being told." I'm like, the fact that you are telling me and not doing a simple Google search of whether or not this was true, what you were hearing or not, because as soon as I heard it, bells were going off of this sounds like BS. And you could have easily Googled this shit, and you didn't. And that to me is a little offensive. Well, I didn't mean to offend you and this and that. I don't see why. Sorry about that. That's my alarms. She's like, I don't see why you're offended. You shouldn't be offended because, you're not a minority and blah, blah, blah. And it's not your fight. And I said, no. What offends me is that you're not looking into this stuff when somebody's rattling all this stuff off to you. You're just taking it at face value. And not only that, how you acted on Saturday, because we're off on Sundays. I said, how you acted on Saturday whenever so-and-so said this to you that was clearly racist, you said nothing. And I didn't say anything, but I was clearly not okay with it. I was very uncomfortable, and you were talking to her, having a conversation, and you said nothing. She's like, well, that's not my fight. And I looked at her. I said, that's even more offensive, that you choose not to have a fight. And I did too, but mine was more because I did not mentally want to have that fight that day. I don't know if I could have taken it that day and finished out keeping my job. And, should I have, looking back on it? Yes, I probably should have. But I asked her, I said, well, what would you do if somebody came in and said, well, this is just how gay people act and you can't trust them or something like that? Would you say anything to them that since you work with a person who is gay? And her answer to me was, I don't know. I've never been put in that situation. Don't know if I would say anything at all. And I said, that's more offensive because you would just let it slide. And that is hurtful to me. Somebody that works with you, that you wouldn't even defend me, a person that works in this office. So, yeah, we had a big falling out about that. And coming back to this question, if you were asked to tell a friend the truth about an unfortunate haircut, to me is really, would you tell a friend the truth of how you feel about something? And while I didn't act correctly myself in that situation, this other individual that I work with, am I putting more on her? Kind of. She's been there longer. She knows the individuals more. She was actually in conversation with this individual. That type of thing. Do I expect better from her than, sitting there and just being like, oh, I'm just going to take it and this and that? I kind of do. And the fact that it could have easily been something against me, Um, yeah, I took offense to that in and of itself. And like I said, what this question is really getting to is, would you tell somebody the truth of how you feel about something? And uh, I would, but sometimes I need time to digest it and be like, how do I actually want to approach this? How is the best way to approach this? Because I could have flown off the handle and just stormed out that day, whenever, you know, the customer said something very racist. I could have stormed out. I had a situation just yesterday where somebody came in to drop off a check. And he's like, "Oh, I don't like this administration. I don't like their cabinet, blah, 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 all this stuff." And I just looked at him and I said, "Well, you just can't be pleased, can you?" And I just kept on doing my work and whatnot, because he was actually talking to my coworker. And I just like looked up and I'm like, "Sounds like you just can't be pleased." And I just kept on going. I'm better at little passive aggressive digs than I am about other things. He wasn't there in that way to have a conversation or be confronted. So yeah, he would just shut down and storm out, the way he was saying it and whatnot. Uh, Whereas if I had a situation where I was talking to the other customer that clearly said something that was racist, I would kind of start to unpack that with her and be like, what do you mean by that? Um, or something like that. If I was actually the one actively having the conversation, I might have said something a little bit along those lines. But yeah, it's hard for me to answer this one about telling the truth, the unfortunate truth, about something, because sometimes you have to do things in a way that, where you step back and you think about it for a second of, how do I want to approach this? Eventually I do, uh, you know, go ahead and say, hey, this was wrong what you did, or this or that. Eventually I come around to making it right, or not necessarily to make it right, but to address the issue. But me doing it in that time and place is not necessarily always something that happens. But yeah, this is a long way of saying, yes, I'll tell the truth to a friend about something unfortunate, but maybe not always in the most timely manner or at the best time. Usually it comes after I've had time to think about it. So what's your answer to the question? And would you go on the same tangent that I just went on? If you were asked, would you tell a friend the truth about an unfortunate haircut? I think I would, but for me, haircuts aren't something that matters. So if we're taking it just at this question. So anyway, that's all that I have for today. Rambled on for about 20 minutes about something, barely looking at the actual question. But anyway, this is our Table Talk Thursday. Join me on Saturday for lesson 11. I noticed after I recorded lesson 11, just before recording this one, that I posted the last Witchy Book Club as lesson 11 is actually lesson 10. Anyway, yes, lesson 11 on Saturday of Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig. Join us for that one, and until next time, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye-bye.